Hello, I'm Roger Bisbee from the Skill Builder channel, and we're back in Northern Ireland and the sun's shining, and we're going to see another Tobermore paving project. Now last year we came over and we watched the boys from Sperrin Paving laying the patio. They did a fantastic job of it and it's still looking really good. 1 year down the line it looks beautiful, and they've come back here to do the driveway. They've nearly finished it, and incredibly this is only 2.5 days work to take it from this to this, and we're going to take you through the whole job step by step in this video. So you got off to a bit of a flying start here, Paul. You've laid in the perimeter here already, which is
the bracken curbstone.
So that's the bracken, and then on the main area you're going to use this Shannon.
Slate
That's
Shannon.
That's a slate coloured Shannon, and these are going to go around the edge.
That's the border.
Two rows of those.
Sienna sets, sandstone colour.
Okay, and this area here?
That's just the front door area for a bit of a feature at the front door. So it's actually going to be filled in with the sandstone colour, which is the reverse of the driveway area.
Got it.
And it'll be bordered with the Shannon.
Okay, now these have got a prime top, which is basically a very hard layer, but it's actually all one piece. That gives you enhanced colour. Very smooth.
Very smooth finish,
Easy maintenance. And basically it doesn't pit like some of the other.
No, it's a good finish of a brick,
and so they're all basically, they've all got that prime top,
That's it,
and nice and smooth, so the kids can skateboard on it and roll trolleys across it.
Easily maintained as well.
And they got this little pencil chamfer here, which just makes the maintenance a bit easier.
Sharper edge,
And I know you can also get these with a bigger rib on them if you want
the rumbled edge, sort of like the curb.
But in order to put a bit of space in for drainage between them. So there's another version of this with a bigger rib, so you get more space in, so the water percolates through. So for people who need that SUD, sustainable urban drainage system, or whatever.
The levels don't suit properly, you can get the drainable brick.
Okay, brilliant. Now I just want to talk about the sub base here, because it's very, very important that you get this bit right. So this is actually type 1 MOT, or as the guys here call it, crush and run. But the idea is it's scalpings, it's really compacted down, and they've rolled it over, they've made sure it's absolutely firm. And then on top of that, they're going to put 50mm of screeding sand, and that will be run out, that will be whacker plated in, and then they can begin to lay the paving on top of that. And of course you may need a weed barrier. If you want to put a geotextile in under this, maybe before you put the screeding sand on, that will help as well. But all these things, as I say, the boring bits, they use up the money and you don't see a lot for them, but if you don't do them, then they use up even more money putting it right. Now let's talk about falls and getting the rainwater away, because obviously it's very, very important that you do that. Now in this particular case, we're okay because there's good falls on the land anyway. Everything is running the way that you'd want it to run. And just one more thing, by the way, over there is Loch Ney, which is going to take all the rainwater from around here. But if you're living in the middle of a town or something like that, a lot of people will be running their rainwater into the sewers, which is a very bad thing to do, because if we get heavy rain, the sewers get overwhelmed and they have to let that sewage go into the rivers untreated. That's all they can do. So what we're trying to do all the time now is get all the surface water, all the rainwater away from the sewage system and slow it down. That's the important thing. We have to make sure that the rainwater can percolate through, and that way we do what we can to avoid the worst of this flooding that we seem to be getting all the time now. So the important thing is that it's at least 150mm below that damp proof course. It can be more, of course. And then what we're looking for is a minimum of 10 millimeters in every meter. So if you've got yourself a meter level, you want to be dropping at least 10 millimeters over the length of that level. Now, happily, in this particular case, we've set out the levels. The guys have already set the levels out, and it just happens that the bubble is just on the line here, and that's the fall we've got, which is nicely in there. That's actually about 20 millimeters per meter, which is plenty. That's going to make sure the rain goes away. To say that these Shannon blocks go down quickly is an understatement. Sam, the cameraman, and myself just went off for a quick cup of tea. We came back and look what they've done. In those few minutes, half the job's been done. So you can see, you get the bond right, and Paul's flying along there. They can hardly keep up with him, quite honestly. Once you've done the preparation, once you've screeded that sand off, the next bit just goes like crazy. Now, you may have noticed that there's a shade variation on these Shannon blocks, and that's intentional. It's supposed to give them a bit of character, but what they're saying is break open 3 packs, work out of 3 packs, and then you can just mix and match them as you go. Now, a feature of these Shannon duo packs is that you get the 2 different sizes in the same pack, so you can mix them around a bit. If you just get the Shannon, it'll be this larger block on its own, and you do that as a half bond, like a brick pattern if you like. But if you're using the 2, then you're going to get a staggered joint. It's not always going to come halfway, obviously. It could just come a quarter way. So you can see here that we've got a half bond, but obviously then you come up here and there's hardly any bond at all. But back here it's back to a half bond again. So how's this for one day's work? Absolutely crazy. I can't believe the speed that these guys go at. Unusually, they're not going to wait until they finish the job before they sand this section in. And the reason for that is that it's a dried sand that they're using, and they want to get it in before it rains. It looks like it might rain tonight, but if the sand is in when it's dry, it goes in a lot better. It filters down into all the gaps and all the cracks. And then when you vibrate the whole thing over, what it actually does, vibrates the sand down, but it also vibrates little bits of the other sand, the screeding sand if you like, up in between the blocks and locks the whole thing together. It's very, very important that you do that. If you just brush it in with the fine sand and leave it, you don't get quite the same lock, and then you can get areas where it starts to sink. So it's day 2 of the Tobermore block drive, and you can see they've made amazing progress on the first day. So on the second day, they're going to get round, continue that sweep all the way round, and all that leaves then is the infill of paving that they're going to do around the front door. So really quick progress. The weather has held. Last night they were just sanding in this area here. I said that it was because it might rain and they wanted to get it in the dry. And you can see now that that sand has gone in there really nicely. Very fine sand filled in all the gaps, and it's looking absolutely fantastic. Now, if you've never laid concrete paving blocks before, you might wonder about the spacing, but it's automatically taken care of by these nibs on the edge. So when you put the two together, those nibs maintain a gap. Having said that, when you're running a line of blocks on a drive of this length, you may find that they start to meander slightly. So you really need to get a string line down there, get yourself a couple of really nice straight lines of block, and then you should keep even with that all the way. But every so often you may find that the line starts to drift slightly even though you've put a string line in, and what you can do there is just ease the block in or out slightly and you'll find that it straightens it out. It's very forgiving because you're going to put this sand down in between the cracks. If it turns out to be a couple of millimeters larger here or there, you won't notice it. But the other great thing is, of course, this does allow a little bit of drainage down through there, and so it helps to get the water away and not having it running down, concentrating in one area. This sand, this colour matched sand if you like, is actually crushed granite, which just goes beautifully down into the cracks. Now when paving gets wet, it does deepen the colour, it enhances the look of it and changes, as you can see here on this sienna block. You'll also notice that a feature of this sienna block is this kind of sparkly aggregate that it's got in there, which just picks up the sunlight and shines slightly. So one of the key things to remember about Tobermore products is that they have got this prime top, which means that the pigment is concentrated. They put the pigment in the bit that you can see rather than putting it through the whole block, and that is a very hard wear layer there, so that won't be wearing out anytime soon. So what you get is a much harder wearing surface, so it won't pit and start to show the aggregate, and it also means that it retains the colour fastness, so years after laying it you'll still see that colour. It won't look all bleached out and washed out in the sun. Now, I think it's fair to say that there are DIYers, competent homeowners, who would want to take on this kind of job themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's also fair to say that the majority of people would probably want to get a contractor in to do it, somebody who's done it before and is experienced. Now, the good news is that Tobermore have an approved contractor scheme. They've got a network of contractors all across the country, so there should be one near you, and you can get a quote from those contractors. But you can also get a drawing design done by Tobermore that's done through the approved contractors, which will show you a nice computer generated illustration of what the job's going to look like and what materials are being used. So to become an approved contractor for Tobermore, you have to have been trading for at least 6 months, be a proper company. You also have to show them 3 jobs, and they need you to prove competency in laying out and surface preparation, getting the falls right, getting the right sub base down, and also in cutting the slab so that you're accurate in the cutting, and the general competency of the work. So all these things come into play, and of course Tobermore will go out and inspect those jobs and monitor them and make sure that those contractors are actually up to standard and maintain their standards throughout. So if you need a good contractor like Sperrin's here, then there will be one near you, Tobermore approved. Paul is just sorting out the rainwater here because they're going to put 2 steps in here. First one is already done. These are purpose-made step risers, and you glue them together with this polyurethane adhesive, yeah? Yeah. Rather than sand and cement, because it's a much better way of doing it. So 1 layer, and then bit of infill.
Bit of infill, and then another step up. And that'll take you in flush to the floor in the house. And the important thing is to get those steps equal, isn't it? That's right. Not have them. Yeah, so here we're having 2 5-inch steps.
So it's day 3 of a Tobermore driveway project, and they're on the home straight here. They really are. Just doing this bit of paved area at the top, finishing off the steps, give the whole thing a sweep down, and even the enthusiasm of a customer overnight, they've even planted up this area here. So it's all looking fantastic. So in this paved area in front of the garage and the front door, they're using this Sienna sandstone. This is the larger format of the border tile, the same pattern but in a larger size, and it's just going to break it up, basically give it a little bit of interest around the area. And again, you can see this glint, this aggregate coming through in the sunshine there, just picking up a little bit of sparkle. So Paul, this is different sand. You're not putting the same sand on this Sienna bit that you were on the other bit, yeah?
No, this is just the normal dry sand, regular dry sand, whereas the other stuff was silver, just to match the other colour of the brick better.
When it comes to doing these radiuses, how do you actually get that curve?
It all depends on the area, but on this one here, we had a radius point in the middle that we were working on.
You just banged a stake in the ground?
And then we work off the radius point right round. But sometimes the radius points don't work, and you just have to work it in by eye, you know?
Really? Yeah. So it's just coming up to 12 o'clock on the 3rd day, and the boys from Sperrin's have done it again. I am really quite amazed, and I enjoyed being with them last time, and I enjoyed it even more this time. So there you go, guys. We'll just have to think up another little video that we can do so I can come back. Yeah. Hope I didn't get in the way too much either.